Hey everyone, welcome. I am going to start a series of interviews for people that have used KidsOS. This is for parents, this is for their kids, and just asking them some questions about their experience and things that they've learned. So glad to have you here, but I'm so excited to introduce to you guys the Lockett family. We met at Pine Cove. It's a family camp. Our family, we have 3 kids. They have 3 kids, a 14-year-old son, 11, and a 9-year-old daughter. Super sweet. So, you know, we have the 3 kids synergy going on here with them. But we've only hung out with them, I think, probably a total of 3 weeks, because every year we have 1 week to hang out together. But I feel like you guys have been kindred spirits, and we've known you guys for years, like longtime friends, because you're just warm, warm people. But I'm excited to talk to the Locketts because these guys are extremely intentional parents. And at the same time, they're super fun. I think you'll get a sense in this interview. They just have this positive energy and spirit about them. And so that's a really rare combination. And they were part of our beta test group. They've been using phones, and they're just now ending a test with their kids. All 3 of their kids had KidsOS phones for the last 3 weeks. They've been using them and kind of getting to know how it works. And so I just finished a much longer interview with them, but we're just about to dive into kind of their experience. So thank you guys so much for being part of the ULTRABETA group and for taking a look at KidsOS.
You bet. Thanks for letting us.
So first thing I want to kick off, just so people kind of understand where you're coming from at the broadest sense, as parents. What is important to you guys as you're raising your kids? And then we'll kind of dive down into more of your tech usage. So at the highest level, what's important for you guys?
A guiding philosophy a little bit that our pre-marriage counselors gave us. They said they had kids about our kids' age when we were going through pre-marriage counseling. And they said, talking about themselves, we're making our kids our priority now. We're making them our, what do you call it? Ministry. We're making our kids our ministry now so that someone else doesn't have to make them their ministry later. And that resonated with us as single people about to get married. And we've thought about that often and talked about that often throughout this journey. So we feel like that is our journey. We feel like that is our most important effort that we're giving now is the raising of these kids and trying to help them navigate life and grow up wise and healthy.
So with that huge lens, what is particularly tech? What has sort of been your history with tech for your family? Boundaries you've had. What have sort of been the rules, and they can both on the positive and the negative, like freedoms that you've granted and kind of compromises you've made. What's sort of the overview here so people understand where you're coming from?
Yeah, do you want to tell?
Okay, sure. So we're not against technology by any means, but one of our first priorities is protecting our kids. And so Landry and I have cell phones. We have other forms of technology in our home, computers and iPads and television. And we let our kids use our phones, but we're very aware of what they're on.
Yeah, so our philosophy has been, just like it is between the 2 of us, as a couple, we have said, you have full access to everything I have. So Piper, I know Piper's gonna pick up my phone, read my texts, read my emails, and that's fine with me. And it's great accountability. And it's just an understanding, an expectation. So we've shared that same expectation with kids, just saying, look, we've helped them understand why we are limiting their use and their access. And then we've made it clear since they have not had phones, we've said, look, even when you get a phone, we want you to know right now in advance, we're going to have full access to that phone, to everything you're looking at, because that's our job. We're parents. And this is the best thing we can do for you, even if it's uncomfortable for you, or even if you don't really like it. We just want you to know this is how it's going to go in our house while you're here, because that's our role, that's our job.
And in that way, unlike many of the other kids that our kids go to school with, and that they're in the public school system, most of their classmates, our 14-year-old and even our 11-year-old, most of their classmates have phones with full access to internet. And so our kids we have not given them phones up until this point. And again, that they haven't fully understood that maybe, but they've responded really well to that. And we have taken the time to let them know it is for their best. But at some point, under our roof, we wanted our kids to have some freedoms, because we want to prepare them for having full freedom going off to college and making the right choices.
Absolutely. So we've had it as a hard no up until this point, for a couple of reasons. Technology and access is one of those. It stinks, but it's a reality that you don't even have to be looking for trouble to come find you on a smartphone. And so that stinks. And so to just draw a hard line and just say, we don't even want that possibility to exist for you right now. That's been one of our guiding reasons why we haven't given them a phone in the past. Another one is just the social complications, or just complicating their lives socially and mentally, stresses that they don't have if they don't have a phone, that we want to just hold off as much as we could in their life. And totally agree with Piper. We've talked about many times, we don't, it's not like we're trying to shelter them for life. It's just, let's just delay this a little bit, and then we can help them get a good game plan and understand how to wisely use a phone. But then this option, so prior to this option, we've just had a hard no on phones because of those items. This phone option has given us another tool in our tool belt to say, hey, now this is a good compromise for them to have the satisfaction and the useful part of a phone that is actually really helpful and good for them socially. But to not have some of the scary parts of a phone for a parent.
So it allows them freedoms and responsibility. It allows us to give them a little bit more, because we want to give them more. We want to give them room to learn, to make mistakes, and to grow while they're still at home, and yet protect them from some of the unknown dangers out there that kids are exposed to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. So one of the things I've had some people, mostly people that don't have kids, one of the responses is, oh, KidsOS is an infringement on their privacy, because you actually have access to all their messages, all their call logs, their location history. You know what's going on. I would love to know kind of your comment on that. What do you think about that as you're looking at their life and their messages and everything like that?
Yeah. You want to start?
Well, everything of theirs is ours at this point. That's part of us parenting and being good parents. And you're right, a lot of people, even our kids' classmates, their parents can't have any idea what they're looking at, because if they knew what they were looking at, they would probably flip out. And that's based on what we've heard that they're looking at from our kids. So I don't have a problem with infringing on their privacy. They don't have they have privacy to some extent, but no, we're parenting them, and we're in charge, and we're responsible for them. So that's part of being a good parent, is allowing them freedoms, but putting some stipulations on their freedoms until they're mature enough to fully handle the responsibility of all that comes with the freedoms of having a phone and not having somebody to watch over them. Although, having said that, Landry and I are accountability partners. We're accountability partners. We're accountability partners for each other on our phones. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's all how you look at it. And we're not, us looking at their phones and keeping an eye on that is not to harm them or to limit them at all. It is absolutely out of a loving spirit and to help them, even to help them get through situations they might not know how to handle, or they may not know comes across as inappropriate by text. We're certainly doing that for their good.
Also, in having access there, the problem is a lot of people don't play by the rules. What I mean by that is there's evil in the world trying to actively get into our kids' phones, into our kids' lives in any venue they can. They're not playing by the rules. They're not respecting our kids' privacy, and our kids don't know that. So, and we tell them, but they don't understand. So my analogy is seeing these videos. We've all seen the videos where there's a hidden camera, and parents know that that a guy who's a stranger to their kid is gonna see if the kid would actually talk to them or maybe go with them somewhere. And we've seen the videos where the parents have said, no, my kid's not gonna do that. I've told them not to talk to strangers. And sure enough, the kid gets duped, because our kids' filters are that everybody's nice and sweet. And that's the way we want them to live, in that world of security and peace. But that's why we have to be vigilant to say, let me help you guard against what's out there.
So I had the privilege of being able to talk to your oldest son about his kind of tech journey, both before KidsOS and with KidsOS. I would love if you kind of summarize that, what did he have when he had nothing? How did that affect his relationships, et cetera? Kind of unpack that for everybody, the before and after here.
So before, definitely, I don't know what grade it was, because they all start blending together, but I feel like by around 5th grade, basically his whole class, except for 1 or 2 other kids, already had phones. That was in the 5th grade. He's now in the 8th grade. So it's been, he has used our smartphones and has enjoyed the freedom of that, and the technology, the social media, the texting, all of that. He has been exposed to that, certainly through our phones, and has desired that. So he's a good kid, and he's been very respectful to us. We have explained to him why we're holding out, and in a logical sense, he gets that, and he doesn't give us a hard time, and he perseveres with that. In an emotional sense of being a preteen and now a teen, he's like, okay, I get that, but come on now, like I am like the world's passing me by, and I'm sitting here without a phone.
Well, and he's left. You want to fit in, and that's in that way. He definitely does not fit in with his classmates. When they're all there at school, before school starts, they're all on their phones. He's the one 8th grader without one. So in spite of that, thankfully, he has been respectful. But he's missed out, and they do group texting and share funny things, and so in that way, I know that's been a struggle for him.
Absolutely, and we all know how junior high, middle school goes. That we all would tell our kids, just bear with it and survive that. You're going to get out of that at some point. But for those same reasons, he's been given a hard time about not having a phone, and given a hard time about parents that are so mean and cruel as to not let him have a phone, and all that jazz. And that's not fun. It's not fun to bear with that. Even if he knows the source, it's still, you do want to fit in, and you want to be able to participate. So he has felt like he has missed out on some fun get-together opportunities because he hasn't been in the loop on the group text. And so that's one area where he's kind of really wished he had a phone.
Awesome. So how about his, now that he's had one for the last 3 weeks or so, what has that been like for you guys, or for him particularly?
Just checking that box of I now have a phone was a big deal in the beginning, before he even used it, Absolutely. And we could see that was a really significant thing for him, kind of a mile marker. And that in itself was really neat to experience. We've also experienced him now be able to add friends and communicate on his own without having to use our phones. You know, we've made our phones available. So, well, you can use ours. And he's kind of like, it's not the same, you know? So it's been fun for him to have that freedom for him to communicate with his friends without having to go through us. And it's been amazing for Piper and I to allow him to have that technology and not worry about what he's getting into.
Yes.
So it's really a home run in that sense. It's a home run for us because we went on a date and didn't have to leave one of our phones with him, you know, like as an emergency phone. We got to both take our phones, which isn't a big deal. It's just kind of funny. We're just like, huh, that's weird. We both have our phones on a date, you know.
So how about for you guys? I mean, you mentioned the date thing. Any other differences that you guys have noticed the last 3 weeks since all 3 of your kids have had phones? What's it been like for you as parents here?
You know, one thing that I have loved are girls both having phones. They'll be sitting next to each other, and they have a great relationship and enjoy each other thoroughly, thankfully. But they'll be sitting right next to each other, texting emojis back and forth and just giggling, and we watch them do that. So that's been a plus. It's been another opportunity for them to enjoy their relationship, and even they've been texting with a neighbor friend, and so that's enhanced their relationship with her as well. It's given them a little taste of what it's like to have that responsibility as well, just like our 14-year-old, which is wonderful. It's good. I want my kids to have freedoms, and I love the safety of the KidsOS opportunity, the phone, because it's safe and they love it. Just like our 14-year-old was thrilled to be getting a phone. Their faces lit up. And they've really enjoyed the opportunity with the KidsOS.
So another unintended positive consequence is that it has given us an opportunity to speak about communication and good friendships and what that looks like.
Yes.
So in the moment, it has caused some friction sometimes, pardon me, between the girls, because if one of the girls got a text and the other one didn't, then jealousy sprung up. Or if in their excitement to finally have a phone and emojis and all, texting a friend and hounding a friend, what are you doing now? When can you play? What are you doing now? And one-way communication, we help them understand, hey, you got to back off a little bit. And this is what it looks like to be a good friend. This is what good communication looks like. A good friend reciprocates, you know, just talking through some of these things and relationships, and not only sibling relationships, but friend relationships. It's really given us an opportunity and a tool to talk about some of those things.
Yeah, so it's kind of like training wheels in a sense. I mean, and it's under the safety net of you being able to help them walk through some more difficult life situations that could save them from some some bigger challenges in the future.
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I think that's all the questions I had. I mean, you guys, your kids are a joy. You guys are a joy. So I appreciate you being part of this test, and then also just kind of unpacking your experience for everyone. So thanks for being friends.
We're sure thankful we have the opportunity to be part of this.
Absolutely, and we are glad that you have seen your vision come to fruition.
Yes,
we're going to benefit from that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool. Sounds good. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Take care and wish you all the best.
Thanks, friend.